Good morning. My name is Charlie Hoke. My pronouns are he, him, and I have the joy of serving on your board of trustees, and it's my pleasure to welcome you here this morning. If you're here for the first time, thank you for joining us. We look forward to getting to know you. We invite you to fill out one of the visitor forms that are in the pew. Everyone present in the sanctuary today is welcome to join our in-person community time immediately following the service. As Unitarian Universalists, we hold interdependence as one of our core values. With reverence and humility, we honor the interdependent web of all existence and our place in it. Reverend Emily has an announcement to share with us this morning.
Hi, I'm Reverend Emily Gage. My pronouns are she and her. Action is the antidote to despair and rage. Side with Love, the organizing strategy team of the Unitarian Universalist Association, is holding their first nationwide UU Solidarity Initiative Ice Out Week this week. You can participate from anywhere. All the actions are on sidewithlove.org. Part of the action includes a 40-hour congregational tag team phone blitz to Congress. We as Unity Temple are responsible for Thursday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. I'm looking for 20 volunteer callers. And you can stop by the Resist table or email resist@unitytemple.org if you're willing to make 3 phone calls this week. Thank you.
We're glad you're here with us today, and I invite those of you here in person to take a moment to greet one another.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Roger. I use he, him pronouns, and it is great to see you here today. Our chalice lighter this morning is named Gail. Gail loves to hike, and in particular, Morton Arboretum is one of the favorites of Gail. So come on, Gail, light the chalice, and we'll say the words together. We are Unitarian Universalists. This is the Church of the Open Mind, the loving hearts, the helping hands. We take care of the planet Earth and each other.
That was so very joyful. Good morning. My name is Sybil Madison. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm your worship associate today. I lived in the Maryland suburbs of DC in my younger years. We were latchkey kids with two working parents, so my brother and I spent a lot of unsupervised time in the neighborhood. I reveled in marching through the woods with friends, drinking nectar from honeysuckle bushes, and bracing for the always imminent encounter with some creature, usually a squirrel, although we always feared it was a snake. There was something about being in the woods that made us little kids feel free. Raising two kids in Chicago, it was important to me that they experience that feeling of freedom in and oneness with nature, despite the city's density and block-by-block variance in safety. This meant Saturday nature walks in city parks and county preserves, and many road trips to national parks. And for a stretch of time, it meant consecutive summers camping in Door County, Wisconsin. We had caught the family camping bug and by chance reserved a perfect spot by the bay in Peninsula State Park. Several summers in a row, we reserved it for a week-long getaway. We built campfires with found wood. We played tennis in a court in a clearing. We ventured on Green Bay waters with our inflatable raft, which we called our boat. We marveled at the number of stars we could see in the sky at night. And while we all found great joy during the day when happening upon wild turkeys or seeing a fox in the distance, I was not so awestruck when we couldn't make out the sounds outside our tents at night. One thing I loved most each summer was watching them run through the trees with the only rule being that they must be able to see me wherever they were. In addition to all the natural wonder we enjoyed, we also always visited Al Johnson's Swedish restaurant where goats grazed on the rooftop quite unnaturally. All in all, those were magical summers. I hope that my children took away a few things from our Door County summer home and all of their time spent in nature as children. First, that life has cycles and we all experience seasons. Every summer, Peninsula State Park was there for us, abundant and brimming with life. But while we were away, the park also experienced winter, where life was starker and stiller, where things died in order to be reborn anew in ways that we would come to enjoy the following summer. It is nature's way to experience fallow times and times of plenty. Next, that there is something, I call it infinite intelligence, that moves through all things. Just as we don't tell our hearts to beat or our lungs to breathe, nature knows just what to do and does it. The flower blooms, the tide rolls, the planet rotates. There is a divine unfolding order to life that is both mysterious and comforting. And finally, I hope that they know deep within that just like those stars, they were made to shine, and just like those wild turkeys, they are free. They do not have to occupy the spaces and the boxes that the unnatural world puts them in. They can chart their own paths through the forests of life. Whoever you are, wherever you are in your life's journey, wherever you are in the world, you are welcome here. Come, let us worship together. Please rise and body your spirit for our first congregational hymn, number 163 in the gray hymnal, For the Earth Forever Turning. I think lyrics are on the screen as well.
Joy
Let's join in the covenant together. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus we covenant with each other and with God.
Good morning. My name is Vanessa Crowder. My pronouns are she, her, and I serve on your spiritual care team. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. Sharing the joys and sorrows of our lives with each other is one of the ways that we embody love within our congregation. Those attending in person may share your joys and sorrows in the binder outside the doors to the sanctuary. You can also email your joys and sorrows to us at spiritualcare@unitytemple.org. If you'd like to talk with someone about what is on your heart, please feel welcome to contact the spiritual care team. We are here to listen and sit with you in times of both joy and sorrow. Here are the joys and sorrows that were shared this week. Roz Lutz is in the hospital being treated for an infection and would appreciate healing energies and prayers. She's not up for phone calls, but texts and emails are always appreciated. We know that we hold some joys and sorrows in silence. We invite anyone who has a joy or a sorrow to come forward and drop a stone into one of the bowls of water at the 4 stations around the sanctuary. This ritual represents a mingling of our collective joys and sorrows. And we invite you to engage in the spiritual practice of silence during this ritual. Let us begin.
So many stones held in the water. My name is Emily Mace. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the intern minister here at Unity Temple. I'd like to invite you into a time for prayer and meditation, settling your bodies and your minds, your hearts and your souls into this time and space. Spirit of life, God that is love, and mystery beyond love. We come here today on this cold day holding weight in our hearts, the weight of the world, like snow on branches. We gather like snowflakes supporting each other, adding to each other's fragile brilliance. We gather because together we bring our hopes and fears, our dreams and our regrets, and we know that this community can bear the weight. Spirit of life, we are grateful for the rhythms of nature that remind us of what endures, even as so much around us moves and changes, even as so much of what our nation is facing and our world is facing feels uncertain. We hold in our hearts and feel in our bodies the changing of the light, the lengthening of the days, this halfway point today between the winter solstice and the spring equinox, celebrated as Imbolc in the Celtic traditions. Spirit of life, we hold in our bodies and feel in our hearts the resilient life that waits beneath the snow, bulbs growing, creatures sleeping, sap slowing, trees remembering to be ready. Celebrated as Tu B'Shavat, the Jewish holiday of the new year for the trees, also on this day. Spirit of life, give us gratitude for what endures, for what we hold on to, for what lasts, and for what returns, for all the ways that we hold on to each other. Amen. Blessed be.
If you are someone who likes to come close when you're listening to a story, I invite you to come and sit down on the floor here near me. I have a story today called Joy Takes Root. It's written by Gwendolyn Wallace, and the pictures are by Ashley Corin. It's time for your grand tour of the garden, Grammy announces. This is Joy's first time gardening with Grammy. The most important thing to remember, Grammy begins, pointing out okra, spinach, and strawberries, is that plants are our friends and our family. Joy looks carefully at a bumblebee on the blossom of a squash plant and nods. The next part of the garden is filled with herbs that I can turn into medicine. Plants can be medicine, Joy asks. Oh, yes, says Grammy. Plants aren't the only medicine, but if you know which ones to use, they can be very helpful. You have to listen to what your body tells you. And so Grammy shows Joy the yellow root plants she uses when she has a cold. She tells Joy to smell the leaves that she will dry later for tea to help her relax at night, and to touch the leaves of her calendula flowers, which she will make into a balm for her dry hands and feet. But now it's time for you to plant some seeds of your own, Grammy says. The first thing is to take a few deep breaths. During these breaths, it's important to think about the ancestors who came before us and the ways they took care of this same soil. All of their love is in you, and you will pass it on to the people who come after it. Joy closes her eyes and breathes deeply. She smells the sweetness in the air and feels her thoughts start to slow down. Then Grammy puts her hand on her chest. Earth has a heartbeat, just like you do, little one. Can you feel the earth's rhythm along with your own? Joy places her hand on her chest, and she feels her heartbeat. Not really, she says. Grammy says, that's okay. Listening takes practice. Next, Grammy lifts some soil from the spot in front of them and brings it up to her chest, and Joy does it too. When we garden, Grammy says, we have to put our intention into the soil, something you are wishing for and want to happen. Breathe your intentions from your heart through your hands and into the ground. And so Joy does. What did you wish for, Grammy? Joy asks. You'll soon find out, Grammy says. And then she takes seeds out of her pocket. Some are round and black, and others are tan and curved. Joy had no idea seeds came in so many shapes and colors. There's just as much life in each seed as there is in your body, Grammy says. And she puts them down in the soil, and Joy covers them up. Grammy picks up her watering can and hands it to Joy, and then she smiles. Each drop of water holds the memories of all the water before it. Sometimes, if we focus on it, water can help us remember things too. Joy listens to the sound of the water hitting the ground, and she remembers the song Grammy used to sing as she gardened. Joy begins to hum, and Grammy joins in. Once Joy and Grammy are done watering the seeds, they sit down and take more breaths. Let's thank the soil and the seeds and the sun and our ancestors for letting us work with them today. Grammy says. Joy does, and she gives thanks for her grandmother too. Would you like some ginger snaps now? Grammy asks, and Joy nods, and they both walk to the kitchen, where Grammy brings out a heaping plate of cookies and mugs of warm, sweet tea. The next day, before Joy gets in the car to go home, Grammy gives her some seeds. I don't know if I can take care of these as well as you, Grammy, says Joy. Grammy kneels down in front of Joy and whispers, yes, you can. She points at her heart and she says, there are things your body knows in here that you don't know up here yet. As soon as she gets home, Joy plants the seeds. She remembers to slow down and breathe her intentions into the soil. As she waters the little mound, she hums Grammy's song, and then she waits and waits and waits. 2 weeks later, she sees that her first plants have popped out of the soil. As the days pass and her plants grow, Joy sits with her green friends and tries to listen to all of nature's rhythms. Joy smiles as she understands exactly what Grammy's wish was. She puts a hand to her chest, and she realizes she can hear the heartbeat of the earth just as loud and clear as her own. Thank you, Grammy. The end.
Instructions for giving to our offering today are on the screen and in the order of service. Each week, Unity Temple splits the offering evenly. One half supports the programs and mission of the congregation. The other half this week supports the Agnes Kelly Fund. This fund, named after Unity Temple member Agnes Kelly, was established to help serve the needs of elderly members of our congregation who are unable physically, mentally, or financially to care for themselves and who have no nearby relatives who can provide such assistance. May what you give be a blessing to you and the world.
This poem is from Ada Limon, who was the first Latina poet laureate of the United States. It's called Instructions on Not Giving Up. More than the fuchsia funnels breaking out of the crabapple tree, more than the neighbor's almost obscene display of cherry limbs shoving their cotton candy-colored blossoms to the slate sky of spring rains. It's the greening of the trees that really gets to me. When all the shock of white and taffy, the world's baubles and trinkets, leave the pavement strewn with the confetti of aftermath, the leaves come, patient, plodding, a green skin growing over whatever winter did to us. A return to the strange idea of continuous living despite the mess of us, the hurt, the empty. Fine, then, I'll take it, the tree seems to say, a new slick leaf unfurling like a fist to an open palm. I'll take it all.
There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know. There are more waters rising, they will find their way to me. There are more waters rising, this I know, this I know. There are more waters rising, this I know.
Well, friends, it's been another week in our country. Continued fallout from the execution by federal agents of VA ICU nurse Alex Preddy last weekend. All the other horrors that continue to be rained down on Minnesota by our federal government. Some movement in Congress toward reconsidering a blank check for Customs and Border Patrol and ICE, self-declared broader powers for ICE to arrest people without warrants, indictment of journalists who are doing their job, and most of all, the extraordinary courage of the ordinary people in Minnesota caring for and defending neighbors from attacks from our federal government. On it goes as the Trump administration continues to follow the authoritarian playbook of consolidating power, and more people join the resistance. As some of you may know or seen, the Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt, president of our Unitarian Universalist Association, was arrested on Thursday. With leaders from other faith traditions, she peacefully protested the Department of Homeland Security budget in the U.S. Capitol. She said there is no moral justification for voting for a budget that will put more resources toward the violating and dehumanization of our neighbors. I'm mindful that as President Betancourt peacefully protested by sitting and holding hands in prayers, she was arrested in the same building, violently attacked by an organized and incited mob in Trump's effort to overturn his election defeat in 2020. I am mindful that those thousands of violent protesters were all pardoned and that no such thing is a prospect for President Betancourt. So this is the backdrop of my sermon this week on Yellowstone. Drawing inspiration and wisdom from nature may feel like a diversion from what we ought to be talking about today. And I don't think it is. In fact, I think it is as important to be in touch with nature today as it's ever been. And being in touch with nature, drawing wisdom and inspiration from nature, is part of the good news of Unitarian Universalism. So right now, for example, we need to look wherever we can to find instructions for not giving up. Soon, even though it may not feel soon to most of us, we will be able to look out and see the greening of trees in our area. We'll be able to look out and see instructions for how to live despite the mess that's all around us. Ada Limon's poem reminds us to look and take in instruction that nature provides us. And including nature in our circle of attention and concern is central to our Unitarian Universalist faith. Our spiritual ancestors like Thoreau and Emerson and other transcendentalists viewed nature as a great spiritual teacher. Put down your biographies and your histories, Emerson says in the opening of his essay called Nature. Put down this, maybe even put down his essay. He didn't say that, but maybe go outside, observe, connect, feel, learn. And these spiritual ancestors didn't say, yeah, do that and ignore the problems of the world by retreating to nature. They made nature part of their spirituality, and they did things like work against slavery, in Thoreau's case, really start this tradition of civil disobedience. The wisdom, the inspiration, the solace they found in nature fueled their work for justice. So one of the places I found wisdom in my life over the years is Yellowstone National Park. I've been fortunate to visit there 4 times. The first time when I was around 6 years old. Those were the days when bears lived in closer proximity to the tourists coming in. Traffic jams were frequent as people stopped to gawk and look at the bears and maybe get out of their cars and maybe, as I saw one time, try to get really close for a family picture. After great efforts by the National Park staff to separate the bears from the millions of tourists, seeing a bear there is relatively rare and typically a distant experience. That's a good thing. Besides animal sightings, my most vivid memories from that trip when I was 6 years old was seeing the geysers and the hot springs, and especially Old Faithful. That's one of my most vivid memories as a child. Many years later, I returned to Yellowstone briefly on a cross-country camping trip with my then 18-month-old daughter. We did, a little bit around the Grand Canyon of the Yellowstone, and we saw Old Faithful. And most interesting for me in that return trip was seeing the devastation of the fires of 1988. We were there 4 years after that, and the devastation seemed to be everywhere. I returned 6 years after that, and again, 8 months after that, and it was amazing to see how the landscape looked so different 10 years rather than 4 years removed from those great fires. So as I think about Yellowstone and nature in these tumultuous times, there are two lessons that grab my attention. The first is that life is fragile. Do you remember maybe a dozen years ago there was the volcanic eruption in Iceland that put fine particles of ash high up in the air and disrupted air travel throughout Europe? That people couldn't see the ash because it was high up fueled controversy over whether those flights should have really been canceled. Well, the Mount St. Helens eruption in the United States in 1980 produced ash that people could see. 80 miles from the mountain in Yakima, Washington, they were cut off by air by car for 3 days because there were 5/8 of an inch of ash all over the town. So for comparison, a volcanic eruption 2 million years before that buried what is now eastern Nebraska in 10 feet of ash. Ash from that eruption, in fact, covered most of the western part of what's now the United States. And amazingly, that volcano was 1,000 miles from eastern Nebraska. That volcano is what we call a supervolcano, and it's been erupting every 600,000 years or so for the last 16 million years, and the last eruption was 630,000 years ago. Where is this supervolcano? As Bill Bryson writes in his fabulous A Short History of Nearly Everything, these days we call that supervolcano Yellowstone National Park. Till the 1960s, the exact whereabouts of this volcano were kind of a mystery. There was plenty of evidence of volcanic activity in Yellowstone, but there was no obvious cone. Then high altitude pictures from NASA, geologists figured out with that information what they couldn't see at ground level, which was basically most of the park is the cone of the volcano. This gigantic 40-mile wide crater or caldera, which last erupted 630,000 years ago, that eruption was 1,000 times more powerful than Mount St. Helens. 2 eruptions before that, the one that blanketed Nebraska with 10 feet of ash, was between 2,500 and 8,000 times more powerful than Mount St. Helens. So life on this planet is inherently fragile. The history of our planet is chock full of periodic natural catastrophes. Beneath the rocky outer crust we call home, there is this mantle of hot, viscous rock. Beneath that is the core of the earth, liquid in the outer level, solid in the inner level. There's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of turmoil under there. Yellowstone's geysers and hot springs remind us of this. My second lesson from Yellowstone is that life is hardy. So the Great Fires of 1988 consumed about a third of the park. There were actually 51 separate fires, and when I visited the park in 1992 with my 18-month-old daughter, just vast stretches of the park looked like a wasteland. And when I returned 6 years later, the ecosystems of Yellowstone had been reborn. Grasslands recovered completely. Lodgepole pines devastated by the fire began to sprout up in the burned areas. Some of the pine cones of lodgepole pines only release seeds when they're exposed to the extreme heat of a forest fire. Other pines began to emerge too, and the reproduction of aspens went up. Some of the grasses that elk graze on became more nutritious. Birds that nest in cavities, such as those found in dead trees, found new homes. There was increased vegetation in the wake of the fires that slowed erosion and mudslides. And then when I was there in the summer, there were wildflowers everywhere. Life, it turns out, Bill Bryson writes, is infinitely more clever and adaptable than anyone had ever supposed. So yes, life is fragile, life is hardy, we are fragile, we are hardy. Life's fragility does catch up with all of us sooner or later, even those with vast wealth who spend their fortune trying to avoid this fact of life. There are times in all of our lives where there is devastation, and sometimes a beautiful meadow of wildflowers emerges from that devastation. And so, do you want a picture of what resilience looks like? Picture the ecosystem's resilience in Yellowstone after the Great Fires of 1988. Or, as Ada Limon suggests in the reading, picture those green layers appearing in the spring after a long, hard winter, following a long, hard fall. I need these pictures of resilience, especially now. So the good news about these lessons from nature is we don't have to travel to Yellowstone to see them. We don't have to travel to the Galapagos or the Serengeti. We can drink nectar from honeysuckle bushes in the nearby park. Or in my case, the honeysuckle was just across the street on the next block, where I could take those blossoms and suck in the beauty. We can go to a nearby park. We can take a stroll in Thatcher Woods. I spent a few days this past week at Ghost Ranch in New Mexico. The artist Georgia O'Keeffe bought a cottage there because she found the landscape so beautiful and inspiring. And I was struck that even though the landscape there is majestic and grand, many of her paintings zeroed in on smaller elements that we might encounter or maybe see right on our block or even in the Thatcher Woods. So notice in this photograph, there's a dead tree in the middle of the foreground, just peeking up above the captions. It's easy to overlook it in the majesty and the beauty behind it. So in the next photo, I zoom in on the tree. The tree is a dead juniper. It was there looking pretty much like it is now 80 years ago when it drew Georgia O'Keeffe's attention. And so this exact dead juniper is one that she painted around 80 years ago. That this tree is still upright all these years later, its sap having long ago stopped running, who knows how many years before Georgia O'Keeffe painted it. This tree speaks to me of life's hardiness and how even little contributions to beauty can live on long after the tree and the painter and probably us are gone. I am inspired to look, to notice, to savor, to find wisdom in this beautiful earth forever turning. I need this beauty. I need this wisdom right now, and maybe you do too. For the mountains, hills, and pastures in their silent majesty, for the sun, for rain and thunder, for the honeysuckles and the dead junipers, for the seasons' harmonies, for our lives, for all creation, let us sing our joyful praise to thee. Our closing congregational song is number 83, in the larger hymnal. Let's rise and join in singing. The closing words come from former Beacon Unitarian minister Barbara Peskin. Let us go remembering to praise, to live in the moment, to love mightily, to bow to the mystery. And let's join in the chalice extinguishing words. Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again.